What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actresses comes face-to-face with a talk show host who refuses to back down from controversy? What you're about to witness is the moment Joy Behar pushed things too far, creating an on-air confrontation that left producers scrambling and viewers at home completely stunned. This is the story of how a simple interview turned into television chaos and why Jodie Foster's response changed everything. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you think about what's coming. Trust me, you're going to want to share your thoughts on this one. The tension was already thick in the studio as Jodie Foster settled into the guest chair across from Joy Behar. The View's cameras were rolling, the audience was packed, and what was supposed to be a routine promotional interview was about to become anything but routine. Foster had come on the show to discuss her latest directorial project, a deeply personal film about family trauma and redemption. But Joy had other plans. So Joy began leaning forward with that signature smile that never quite reached her eyes. Your new movie deals with some heavy themes. Family dysfunction, abuse, generational trauma. Makes me wonder if you're drawing from personal experience here. Foster shifted slightly, maintaining her composure, but clearly caught off guard by the directness of the question. Well, Joy, all artists draw from their experiences in some way. The story resonated with me because I think many families struggle with communication and understanding across generations. But I'm talking about your own family specifically. Joy pressed, her tone becoming more aggressive. Your relationship with your mother was complicated, wasn't it? The whole thing with John Hinckley, the way your mother handled your career as a child, that had to leave some scars. The studio audience grew noticeably quieter. Even Whoopi Goldberg, sitting at the far end of the table, exchanged a concerned glance with Sarah Haynes. This wasn't the direction anyone had expected the interview to take. Foster's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Joy, I appreciate your interest, but I'm here to talk about the film and the important themes it explores. The characters in this story are fictional, and while all art comes from somewhere personal, I think it's more valuable to focus on what audiences can take away from it. Oh, come on, Joy interrupted, waving her hand dismissively. You can't hide behind the art when you're putting your own trauma on screen for everyone to see. I mean, your mother essentially pimped you out to Hollywood when you were just a kid. That's what child stars go through, right? And then when that obsessed fan tried to kill a president to impress you, where was she then? The words hung in the air like a slap. The camera operators continued rolling, but you could see the uncertainty in their movements. This was live television and things were spiraling fast. Foster's voice remained steady, but there was steel beneath it now. Joy, I think you're confusing interview with interrogation. My mother was a single parent doing her best to support 4 children. She protected me throughout my career and helped me make choices that allowed me to grow into the person I am today. Protected you. Joy let out a sharp laugh. Is that what we're calling it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like she threw you to the wolves and counted the money. And now you're making movies about family trauma. The connection seems pretty obvious to anyone paying attention. The other co-hosts were now visibly uncomfortable. Whoopi started to interject. Maybe we should. No, let me finish. Joy cut her off, turning back to Foster with renewed intensity. I think our viewers deserve honesty. You've built this image of yourself as this private, dignified actress, but you're really just another damaged child star who's never dealt with her issues, and now you're projecting them onto your work and expecting us all to celebrate it. Foster stood up slowly, removing her microphone with deliberate calm. The studio was dead silent now, the kind of silence that makes every small sound echo. Her voice when she spoke was quiet but carried to every corner of the room. Boy, I've been in this industry for over 50 years. I've worked with directors, actors, and journalists who understand the difference between curiosity and cruelty. What you're doing right now isn't journalism. It isn't entertainment. And it certainly isn't professional. Oh, so now I'm unprofessional. Joy's voice rose, her face flushing red. I'm asking the questions that everyone else is too scared to ask. That's what real journalism looks like, Jodie. Maybe you've been surrounded by yes men for so long, you've forgotten what an actual interview feels like. Foster turned to face the camera directly, her Oscar-winning composure intact despite the chaos around her. To anyone watching who has survived trauma, who has built something meaningful from difficult experiences, don't let anyone reduce your story to their entertainment. Your journey belongs to you. She turned back to Joy. And her next words would echo through social media for weeks to come. And to you, Joy, I hope someday you learn the difference between being provocative and being cruel. There's a reason people trust me with their stories. And there's a reason they're starting to question whether they can trust you with theirs. The camera caught everything. Joy's face cycling through confusion, anger, and what might have been a flicker of shame. The other co-hosts sat frozen, unsure whether to intervene or let the moment play out. In the control room, producers were frantically discussing whether to cut to commercial, but the compelling nature of what was unfolding kept them glued to their seats. Joy recovered first, her media training kicking in even as her judgment seemed to abandon her completely. Trust me with their stories. Joy's voice dripped with sarcasm as she leaned back in her chair, clearly doubling down on her aggressive approach. Please. You've been hiding behind carefully crafted responses and PR speak for decades. I'm trying to have a real conversation here, but you're treating this like some kind of royal audience where we're all supposed to bow down and ask softball questions. Foster remained standing, her hand resting on the back of her chair. The power dynamic in the room had shifted completely. What had started as a traditional host-guest setup now felt more like a courtroom with Foster as the dignified defendant. And Joy as an overzealous prosecutor who had lost all sense of proportion. Joy, Foster said, her voice carrying a warning tone that anyone with sense would have heeded. You're confusing real conversation with public humiliation. There's a difference between asking thoughtful questions about someone's work and attempting to psychoanalyze their entire life story for entertainment value. Entertainment value. Joy shot back, her voice getting shriller. This is a talk show, Jodie. Entertainment is literally what we do here. But apparently you think you're above all that now. Too good to engage with the common people who actually watch this show and buy tickets to your movies. Whoopi finally found her voice, trying to restore some semblance of control. No, Whoopi. Joy interrupted again, her hand shooting up in a stop gesture. I think our audience deserves to see what happens when someone comes on our show and acts like they're better than us, like their pain is somehow more sacred than anyone else's. The camera operator zoomed in on Foster's face, capturing the moment when her patience finally reached its limit. Her expression didn't change dramatically, but something shifted behind her eyes. A decision being made in real time. You want to know about pain? Joy. Foster's voice remained level, but it carried new weight. Real pain isn't something you parade around for ratings. It's not a talking point or a gotcha moment. It's the thing that shapes you quietly, teaches you empathy, makes you careful with other people's hearts. Oh, spare me the lecture. Joy rolled her eyes dramatically. You're sitting there acting all wise and wounded, but at the end of the day, you're just another actress selling a product, and that product happens to be built on your childhood trauma. Don't get mad at me for pointing out the obvious connection. Sarah Haynes shifted uncomfortably in her seat, clearly wanting to change the subject. Maybe we could talk about the technical aspects of directing. Sarah, please. Joy cut her off with barely concealed irritation. The adults are talking here. Jod came on this show. She promoted a movie that's clearly autobiographical, and now she wants to pretend like asking about it is somehow crossing a line. That's not how this works. Foster took a step closer to the table, and her presence seemed to fill the entire studio. You're right about one thing, Joy. This isn't how it works. Professional interviews, respectful conversations, basic human decency. None of that seems to work for you. So let me try something different. The studio fell completely silent. Even the crew members who had been moving around quietly in the background stopped what they were doing. I've been coming on talk shows since I was 13 years old, Foster continued, her voice gaining strength with each word. I've answered thousands of questions about my life, my work, my choices. I've dealt with intrusive paparazzi, tabloid rumors, and people who thought my privacy was their property. But I've never in 5 decades of public life encountered someone who seemed to take such genuine pleasure in trying to hurt someone on live television. Joy's mouth opened, but for once, no words came out immediately. You keep talking about real conversation. Foster pressed on. But real conversation requires respect. It requires listening. It requires caring about the person sitting across from you as more than just content for your show. What you're doing isn't conversation. Boy, it's performance art. And the art is cruelty. Finally finding her voice again, Joy's response revealed just how little she understood about the hole she had dug for herself. Oh, so now I'm cruel because I ask hard questions because I don't treat celebrities like they're made of glass. Sorry if I burst your bubble, Jodie. But this is the real world. People have opinions about your life whether you like it or not. Having opinions and weaponizing someone's personal history for television drama are two very different things, Foster replied. And the fact that you can't see the difference explains a lot about why this show has become what it's become. The comment hit like a physical blow. Joy's face went red, and you could see the exact moment she decided to abandon any pretense of professionalism entirely. What this show has become. Joy's voice rose to near shouting level. This show has been successful for over 25 years. We've interviewed presidents, Nobel Prize winners, every major celebrity in the world. And now some actress who hasn't had a hit movie in a decade is going to lecture me about television. The insult hung in the air, and everyone in the studio knew Joy had just made a massive mistake. Foster's filmography spoke for itself. Her recent directorial work had been critically acclaimed, and attempting to diminish her career accomplishments was both factually wrong and professionally suicidal. Foster smiled for the first time since the interview began, but it wasn't a warm smile. You know what, Joy? You're absolutely right. I haven't had a hit movie in a decade. I've been too busy directing films that matter, working with actors who understand their craft, and building a body of work that I'm proud of. You're right that I'm not used to this kind of treatment. In my world, people show up prepared. They treat each other with basic respect, and they understand that their job is to serve the audience, not their own ego. My ego. Joy stood up now, abandoning her host chair and stepping into the open space between the table and Foster. You're the one who walked onto my set acting like you're too good to answer simple questions about your own movie. I answered your questions, Joy. I talked about the themes of the film, the importance of family healing, the universality of trauma and recovery. But that wasn't enough for you. You wanted blood. You wanted me to break down and confess to some narrative you'd already written about my life. The two women now stood facing each other in the center of the studio with the cameras capturing every word, every gesture, every micro-expression. The other co-hosts looked like they were watching a car accident in slow motion, wanting to help, but unsure how to intervene without making things worse. You want to know what I wanted? Joy's voice carried a note of desperation now, as if she was finally beginning to understand how badly this was going, but couldn't stop herself from making it worse. I wanted honesty. I wanted someone to finally admit that Hollywood is built on damaged people, selling their pain to audiences who eat it up. I wanted you to stop pretending like you're above it all. Foster's response would become the most quoted moment of the entire exchange. Joy, Foster said, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. The difference between us is that I've never pretended to be above anything. I've acknowledged my struggles. I've grown from them and I've used them to create something meaningful. You, on the other hand, are using other people's struggles as weapons, and you're doing it because you think it makes good television. That's not honesty. That's exploitation. The words landed with devastating precision. Joy's face cycled through emotions so quickly the cameras could barely keep up. Anger, confusion, defiance, and something that might have been recognition of the truth. Exploitation. Joy's voice cracked slightly. I've spent my entire career giving people a platform to tell their stories. I've fought for women's rights, social justice, political accountability. Don't you dare stand there and lecture me about exploitation. Then why? Foster asked, taking another step closer. Are you so determined to tear me down instead of building something up? Why is your first instinct to hurt rather than help? If you really cared about social justice, wouldn't you want to use this platform to discuss the real issues the film addresses instead of turning my personal life into a spectacle? For the first time since the interview began, Joy seemed genuinely at a loss for words. The question hung between them, and viewers could see her struggling to find an answer that didn't prove Foster's point. Whoopi seized the moment, trying to restore some order. Maybe we should take a breath here. No. Foster interrupted gently but firmly. I think Joy wanted a real conversation, and I think she deserves to finish it. Joy, why are you really angry? What is this actually about? The question was delivered without malice, almost therapeutically, and it seemed to crack something open in Joy that she hadn't intended to reveal. You want to know what this is about? Joy's voice was quieter now, but filled with a different kind of intensity. It's about watching people like you coast on talent and privilege while the rest of us have to fight for every scrap of attention. It's about sitting here day after day entertaining housewives and retirees while actors like you get to make important art and act like you're saving the world. The admission was more honest than anything she'd said during the entire interview, but it also revealed the petty motivations behind her attack. Foster's expression softened slightly, as if she finally understood what she was dealing with. Boy, I understand feeling undervalued. I understand the frustration of working hard and feeling like it goes unrecognized, but taking that frustration out on guests isn't going to solve anything. It's just going to make people stop wanting to work with you like you're never going to work with me again. Joy shot back. But there was less venom in it now, more defensiveness. I don't know, Foster replied honestly. That depends on whether you can learn from this moment or whether you're going to double down on the behavior that created it. Joy looked around the studio, seeming to notice for the first time how silent everything had become. The audience was watching with rapt attention, but there was no energy of entertainment anymore. Just the uncomfortable fascination of watching someone self-destruct in real time. You think you're so much better than this show, Joy said. But her heart wasn't in the attack anymore. Then this format, then these questions, then me. I don't think I'm better than anything, Foster replied. I think I deserve basic respect just like you do. Just like everyone in this audience does. The difference is I'm not willing to compromise that respect for ratings or drama or whatever it is you think you're accomplishing here. Sarah Haynes finally found the courage to speak up. Maybe we could discuss the positive aspects of the film, the hope it offers to families dealing with. Joy snapped, turning on her colleague. Just stop trying to fix this. You all sit there every day nodding along with whatever guests want to talk about. Never pushing back, never asking the real questions. At least I'm trying to do actual journalism here. Is that what you call this? Foster asked. And there was genuine curiosity in her voice. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're having a public breakdown and using me as your emotional punching bag. The words were delivered so calmly, so clinically that they seemed to echo in the silence that followed. Joy opened her mouth to respond, closed it, opened it again, and then seemed to deflate entirely. You know what? Joy said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. Maybe you're right. Maybe I am having a breakdown. Maybe I'm tired of pretending that what we do here matters when people like you make it clear that you think you're slumming it just by showing up. Foster's response was immediate and unexpectedly compassionate. Joy, what you do here can matter. This show reaches millions of people every day. You have the opportunity to educate, to inspire, to bring important conversations to people who might not have access to them otherwise. But you can't do that if you're more interested in tearing people down than building them up. Easy for you to say, Joy muttered, sinking back into her chair. You get to pick your projects. Work with whoever you want. Make art on your own terms. I have to fill 5 hours of television every week with whatever walks through that door. Then make it count, Foster said, her voice gentle but insistent. Make every interview matter. Ask questions that serve your audience, not your own frustrations. Use your platform to elevate people instead of diminishing them. The studio was completely silent now. Even the crew had stopped moving. Everyone sensing that they were witnessing something unprecedented. Joy sat in her chair staring at her hands while Foster remained standing in the center of the space. Finally, Joy looked up at the cameras, seeming to remember that millions of people were watching this unfold live. We'll be right back, she said quietly and then louder. We need to go to commercial. But the director didn't cut away. Whether it was technical confusion or a deliberate choice to let the moment play out, the cameras kept rolling. As Joy turned to Foster one last time. "I'm sorry," she said. And for the first time in the entire interview, her words seemed completely genuine. "You didn't deserve this. None of this was about you, and I'm sorry you got caught in the crossfire of whatever this was." Foster nodded slowly. "Thank you for saying that. Enjoy. For what it's worth, I hope you find what you're looking for. Just try to find it without hurting other people along the way." With that, Foster collected her purse and walked off the set, leaving Joy sitting alone at the table while Whoopi, Sarah, and the rest of the panel tried to figure out how to salvage what remained of the show. As the cameras finally cut to commercial, viewers were left with the image of Joy Behar sitting in stunned silence, finally understanding the cost of her approach to journalism and perhaps for the first time in years questioning whether the entertainment value was worth the human cost. What did you think of this explosive confrontation? Was Joy Behar completely out of line, or was she just doing her job as a tough interviewer? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories that show what really happens when the cameras are rolling. The truth is often stranger and more dramatic than fiction.